I lost my mum to cancer, and cancer is a strange devil. Death can be a very selfish experience for the person who's still alive. I remember staring at it vividly, and I just said to myself, like, if this would save your mum's life, would you go under the water? Of course you would. It's like bam, under the water. Pain to power, you know? That was the moment it clicked for me. He's coming to get me, but then he wouldn't show up at the door.
Right.
Abandonment. Oh, I love you down the phone, but never does anything about it. Actions speak louder than words. Children learn what their parents do, not what they say.
How did you awaken to deal with grief and sit with grief? Taking this moment to give some gratitude to you, the listener, to investing your time and energy into your transformation, taking your life from where you are now to where you're moving to. We've got an exciting venture that we're going on with this movement of the Transformation Code. And one thing that you could do to really support this movement is to leave a review and also to subscribe. It will allow us to have access to more guests who can share their codes and their value. And then we can share that with you as the listener. If you could just take this moment to leave a review and also to subscribe, that will really help the growth of this movement and this channel. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the episode. So for the listeners, can you just describe, and for me as well, describe what that journey's been like for you and just give some background about that, because I know it's really led into the lives that you're allowing to, from what you've been through and now being able to help others on that journey. Yet, it's been, such a path for you to even be here now, right?
Jesus. Yeah, where do you start? So I lost my mum to cancer, and cancer is a strange devil because you have to grieve the person while they're still alive. You get given a set of information which says, hey, by the way, you've got 12 to 18 months left on this planet. And depending on how empathetic you are and how you receive other people's energy depends on how you take this kind of news, because your initial thought is, oh shit, you're going to be dead in 12 to 18 months. But then the secondary thought is, okay, that's how it's making me feel, but I wonder what's going on in your head. The struggles, the trials, the tribulation, everything that you're currently experiencing in your life now. Are you afraid? Are you scared? Do you feel isolated? Is there things you want to do? Are people trying too hard that never usually tried in the first place? There's a lot that comes with this bubble that a lot of people, unless they've been in it, and I don't wish it upon anybody, will never understand. They won't. It's like when somebody goes, oh, sorry to hear that. It's like, thank you for your condolences, and I appreciate the gesture. But when somebody goes, I know how you feel. No, you fucking don't. You don't. You don't know how somebody feels unless you have been through the death of a parent, And it's it's definitely a journey before they die. That was the hardest part. The hardest part for me was she's right here. She's literally right here in front of me, and she looks fine. We're out on a walk. Okay, yeah, she has to wear gloves in the summer because her blood count is very low, so her immune system and her body temperature regulation because of the chemotherapy isn't bang on. But apart from that, you're here. You seem pretty normal. And then to watch a deterioration happen in the matter of weeks, in a matter of 4 weeks, going from looking like me or you sat here now having this conversation to a skeleton of skin and bones and lack of response, and then slipping into a coma, and then being in a coma for 3 days and not being able to communicate. But yet, they're breathing, they're alive, that they're there, but you can't talk to them. You can, but you're not getting a response. And there's different levels of acceptance that come along with that. And there's different levels of your character, which is either going to be built or destroyed in this process. And I feel very grateful that I've spent my life with my head in the books of philosophy, in the books of psychology, in the books of life and my life experiences, because I feel like I was well equipped to be able to mentally deal with what was happening. That doesn't stop it from being painful. Like, I'm not superhuman. Like, I learned what dry screaming is, and my body did physiological reactions to the trauma that I didn't even know my body could do, like screaming. You think you're screaming at the top of your lungs. That's how it feels, but there's no sound. There's like no sound coming out. It's just ultimate pain being released from the body and going through these stages. And yeah, bro, it's a shit time. Like, it's a really shit time. And then on the back end of that, the acceptance, the learning to live without the person, the going to just pick your phone up to ring them because something good happened in your day, or ringing them just for that general conversation, or imagining what they're doing right now and then remembering they're not doing right now. Yeah, it's a lot. There's I could spend a full hour going through the process, and if we really dived into every nit and cranny on how it affects the life. But what it comes down to for me is that death can be a very selfish experience for the person who's still alive. I feel like it's very easy to, I feel. And it's like, but the person who died doesn't feel because they're no longer here anymore. So I feel like we do have a choice to accept what has happened, feel the pain. Like, and I will always say it's very important to feel all the emotions, but feel the pain. But then you have a choice. Then you can either stay in that pain, or you can use that pain and put it into purpose, and you can use it as a propeller forward. Okay, what are all the things that you used to talk about with that person? What are some of the things that you said you were going to do but you never did? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are the promises that you made to said person which were unspoken, maybe behind closed doors? Maybe it was just a conversation between the two. Okay, go bring that shit to life. Like, go, like that. Okay, it's painful, cool, but you're already in pain. You might as well get a reward from it. You might as well. And I started to apply this after she died. Like, don't get me wrong, my life went fucked up for a while.
In what way?
Fucking bro, I lost my business. I lost my mum. My stepdad moved a new woman into my mum's home 3 months after she died. Like, fucking married her, took all the money, took the house, now this woman, bearing in mind, this woman has the same name as my mum. Then he ran off and married her without telling anybody, without telling my little brothers who lived in the house. Just text them the next day saying, hey, just to let you know, we got married last night. I'm like, you sack of shit, bro. Like, you pathetic excuse of a human being. What?
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Like,
Man. It must
what?
have been,
you know what I mean?
while you're going through your process, and
I couldn't go through the process, bro, because I was angry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I couldn't grieve because I was angry at him. And then my dog had puppies. So I had like 9 little puppies, which came at a good time because it was a welcome distraction. So I had 9 puppies to look after. I was single. I was living by myself in this flat in Huddersfield. Everybody seems to think because you've been on TV that you've got all your financial shit in order, which is not true. Followers on Instagram doesn't fucking mean that there's money in the bank just because you've been on TV. So I'm financially trying to provide for myself. I'm trying to keep a roof over my head. I'm trying to look after 3 dogs, as well as look after 9 puppies, as well as deal with the trauma of my mom. Do you know what I mean? And all the safety nets, bro. If it weren't for my friends at that time, like Tim, Emma, Zoe, hey, like, bro, these people, like, they came together and they all, in their own individual way, helped me not only emotionally, some of them helped me financially, and I'll forever be indebted because they were part of my process. And without those people, bro, I wouldn't be sat here having this conversation. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is the important part about what we were talking about before we started today, was about like finding your truth and speaking your truth and who you are. And I think that shines the brightest in those moments because it really shows who's there. You know what I mean? Like, who's around you. But yeah, so he did what he did. Like I say, most of the process was sat in anger and disbelief of what this man had done.
Have you accepted him now, or where are you at with that?
Choose your words, Matt. Choose your words.
What's your truth?
My truth is that if I got a phone call right now telling me that he died last night, I would cry with happiness. And I don't wish that upon anybody. You know, like I wish everybody the best in life, genuinely, not him. And there will never be forgiveness. I don't want to forgive, but I am no longer angry. You know, I feel zero emotions towards him. There's no part of my day where he's an active, like if we hadn't have had this conversation, he doesn't enter my brain. But I do still have two little brothers. They're his dad. That he's their dad.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there like a resistance to go there though because of like
a resistance to go where?
Like to even think about your dad because
stepdad.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a resistance because like there's so much emotional
No,
charge there or
no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Genuinely not at all. I can speak about it openly. But the pain that he caused my nana and granddad, they're in their 80s, bro. My granddad and my nana had just lost their daughter. And you have the audacity to do what you're doing. Do you know what, bro? Fuck about. You need to go get laid to deal with your grief. Cool. But don't put it on Facebook. Don't stop my nana and granddad from coming round to the house. Do you know what I mean? My mum spent 23 years with you and you were afraid of flying, so you never took her abroad. But 2 months after she dies, you fly to Cape Verde with another woman. Like, you kept my mum prisoner for 23 years, bro. 23 years she was a prisoner. And I never saw it until she died. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
that's tough, man.
So yeah, if I got that phone call saying he died last night, I'd be a very happy man. Like, but karma will come to play, bro. Because if I ever came this close to that person, yeah, we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. And I genuinely, everyone can have their opinions on what they think about how that makes me as a person. But firstly, I don't value that opinion because I lived it, you didn't, you know? And secondly, it doesn't make me an angry person. It doesn't make me a bad person or a nasty person, but I believe that karma will serve its justice there.
And I think you touched there on, an understanding piece that really the only person who fully understands any of our experiences is ourselves, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we're think how much work we have to do, what I have to do to even understand my own experience.
Yeah.
Let alone someone else trying to understand my experience. And like someone shared with me that everyone's trying their own their best. Like everyone's trying their best with what they know. And if, say, I had gone through exactly the same experience as like Brian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian behind the camera. Yeah. If I had gone through like his whole life experience, I'd be making the exact same decisions as he is.
Yeah.
Based on like the experiences that he's had. We're all doing the best with what we've been through, right? Like the books we've read, the people we've come into contact with. And it's just a shame that some people are living a life where they have been exposed to a program that isn't serving them and they don't know how to move out of that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how did you move out? Because we're not taught about grief when we're in school.
No.
You know, so how did you awaken and move? I'm not even going to say move out of that because that would be doing a disservice to the experience, because I think grief is actually something which is more of something we embrace, and it has to be something that rather than pushing it away, it's like part of us, right? So I'm curious, like, how did you awaken to deal with grief and sit with grief?
I am a very spiritual person. And I don't mean that in the sense of, I can't say that today actually because I'm wearing really baggy pants, but I don't mean in the sense of hippie pants and braids. And, do you know what I mean? And I'm
put the camera
up. But I believe in energy, bro. And I don't believe in energy because I read it in a book. I believe in energy because throughout my life, I'd be stupid not to ignore it. And every time in my life where something's gone wrong and I've been sat wasting my life and wasting my time being anxious about it, or sat being depressed about it, or sat, do you know what I mean? Allowed my intrusive thoughts to take over. Do you know what it's changed? Absolutely nothing. Like 0 things have changed. So past the initial stages of grief, and yeah, people put these these 5 stages in place, but at the same time, that's not for everybody. Like, don't try and put everybody in the same box. For example, with my coaching, I don't write anybody's program until I've spent my first hour with them. How can I write you tasks and a program for a 12-week period to better help you if I don't know you? Do you know what I mean? How can I blanket that? Like, how can I blanket some bullshit that I'm going to put on some paper and send over to you when we've not even had a chat? We've not spent an hour talking. How will I know? What? Because you filled in a form with a few questions. I'm sorry, but that's not going to cut it. Not in this level of depth. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I am a coach. And I just try and use my lived experience to take people from where I was to where I am, you know? And that's it. That's all I do. And if it wasn't for spirituality, and if it wasn't for understanding and believing in energy, feeling the energy, the meditation work, and again, meditation doesn't mean you have to sit there with your legs crossed, in and ahhing with the bloody symbols up. You don't need that. Like, if that's for you, perfect. If that's the type of meditation that works for you, incredible. You do what you need to do. Or I can just sit there with a black coffee and stare at a leaf for 30, 40 minutes and then not realize where the time's gone. That's my meditation, you know? And we always say that we came into this world, but we didn't. We came out of the world, all right? We weren't dropped off from outer space when we were born. Like, we've always been here. So even on a molecular level, as small as the organism may be, we have always been here. Our DNA structure has always been on the earth because nothing new came in, bro. Nothing new flew in when you were born or when your parents were born. So at a molecular level, we've always been here. You've always been here. So then when you die, you don't go anywhere. How can you go anywhere? If you never came into it, how can you leave it? So yes, your body might return to the soil. But if you look at what happens, for example, when a whale dies and the body deterioration and how much life it gives to the ocean, how much it feeds the coral, 47 species, maybe, like the food it gives to the sharks and the fish, and the bone deconstruction and how the algae gets life on the bones. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a circle of life. But with grief, it's hard to accept because you lost something. And because you lost something, it becomes about your selfishness and how you feel rather than what's actually happening. And that's because of our consciousness and the things that we've been taught. We focus more on what we've lost than what's actually happening. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. Yeah, it's like a ego construction, right?
Yeah, bro.
Rather than like the ego's at play, and it's there like, oh, I've lost something.
Yeah, rather than the world's gained something.
Yeah, rather than dissolving that and seeing it from a collective, like, oh, we're all one, the circle of life. Yeah, like in the moments is tough, right? And I feel like that is
shit. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
And that's like that awakening of remembering. All right, okay, this is the ego at play. All right, yeah, but it's still painful.
Yeah, but you can't just stop it.
Yeah,
you can't just stop it, and that's like why I personally. And again, everything that comes out of my mouth is based upon my personal opinion on the information that I have learned so far on my existence on this earth.
Yeah. And I think that's a
all
beautiful gift.
That's all I can give.
This is what we were talking about before, right? Is that there's so much information at play. Like, we can go onto ChatGPT and ask it questions and find out how to do this, how to do that. Yeah, like tapping into our own heart's intelligence, being like, hang on, like, what do I actually tap into with this? Like, and actually speak, like actually feeling into it, being like, actually, what does my heart say about this? What message does my heart have about this situation? But it's so easy to forget that. And I do it too, where I'm like, I need an answer. Yeah. I'm going to get my laptop out, right? ChatGPT.
Yeah. How about sit with the question? Do you know what I mean? Sit with the question. Sit with the question with no distractions.
Yeah.
I think that's important. You can't sit with the question while scrolling Instagram or watching Disney Plus on your laptop. Do you know what I mean? Scrap that. Don't mention Disney. Cut that out. There's a lawsuit. Okay. No, but you know, like you sat watching something and then you're asking yourself these questions and you're going to and from, and your mind never actually gets a chance to cultivate an answer. Whereas I feel like, I think Jordan Peterson says that about your life. And when he first hit them, I don't really listen to the guy anymore. Like, it's a bit, put you over there now, I'm sick of hearing your voice. But there was some very valuable lessons. And one of the things he used to say is, if you really want the answer to what you're doing wrong in your life, sit on the edge of your bed and ask yourself the question and don't move till you get the answer. But you've got to want the answer. You've got to want the answer, because it's not going to be comfortable and it's not going to be nice and you're probably not going to like it. But I think that's the same with most truths and most questions that we can ask ourselves is, I seen a thing the other day and this girl was just like, why is it always like Western influences that turn into really spiritual hippie beings? It's like, why has the universe not told you to do community service? Like, why is the universe not told you to go litter picking or go help starving children? Or why is it just meditation? Do you know what I mean? She had a point. I was like, I like her. It's like, it's always these people with really, really all right, easy lives that become these really spiritual beings, but what are they actually doing? You know what I mean? Like, what is the service that they're actually providing? I'll go on a tangent all day, bro. Let's go back to what we were talking about.
Yeah, I want to dive into so dealing with grief, to spin back to that.
Yeah.
When you were young, I'm curious how grief, just like any emotion, right? Is that what were you like with your nervous system growing up? And obviously as a kid, you're not aware of this stuff, but I'm just curious, how did you deal with different situations when you were young? And what have you had to learn now to be able to handle the stuff that you're handling, like the challenges that life throw at you?
My childhood was very much ADHD amazing, bro. Like, it was scatty as fuck. I was expelled from primary school because the teachers didn't know how to put up with me or deal with me. A guy called Mr. Thomas. So from a very young age, my trust in men was very, very damaged. And that would have a significant impact on my future. And until I was about 27, 28, I wasn't aware of any of this. I was just looking forward, never looking back to assess. And I think a lot of the stuff as a kid, I kind of had to just deal with. I just kind of had to go through stuff. And look, I grew up in an age whereas if you fucked up, you got whacked. Do you know what I mean? There was none of this like, I'm ringing social services or what. No, bro, you got punched in the face. Like, if I swore too loud or did something my mum told me not to do, bro, she literally emptied a bottle of fairy liquid in my mouth. Do you know, like, there was none of this soft, like this. Yeah. Anyway. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. I think that dealing with things as a child is how you learn to deal with things for the rest of your life, unless you do some extra work. And all the trauma responses that you grow into, shall we say, that are based on your childhood, I feel like a lot of them served me very well. I went to therapy when I was 27 for the first time, and basically my relationships had been breaking down each time I was in a relationship, and I used to blame the other person.
What was the pattern?
I'll get to that now.
Yeah.
So I realized at this moment, shit, it's me. I am the problem. And it was abandonment issues, insecurities, a lack of self-worth, and feeling unworthy of love. And these things came into play, and I had to sit with them and think about them. And I rang my mum and I was like, I'm going to go to therapy, I think. Like, and she was like, oh, well, before you do, let me just tell you this about your childhood. Bro, she just I didn't need therapy after that. I was like, that's exactly why. For example, my dad would always ring my mum and say he's coming to get me, but then he wouldn't show up at the door.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Abandonment. Oh, I love you down the phone, but never does anything about it. Actions speak louder than words. Children learn what their parents do, not what they say. You know what I mean? Whatever comes out of your mouth is one thing, but we will always learn better off the actions and the feeling of emotion that we get. And so my feeling of emotion is continuous letdown. Then I used to blame my mom. You don't want me to see my dad. You don't want me to, do you know what I mean? You're trying to keep me from it. So I'm then in this world where I feel completely isolated and alone. My mom's in quite an abusive relationship with a fucking local farmer, which is making her life and my life hell, to the point where we had to move house a couple of times and we had to go and stay in like safe houses and hide from this person so that he couldn't find where we were. And I'm going to say safe houses, by the way. I don't mean police issued safe houses. I mean, like, friends would put us up in different places to keep us out of the way, But I'm really grateful for all of that. Like, genuinely, like, there's no hard feelings in my life about my childhood now. Like, I look back and I'm just like, shit, I love the way my brain works. I love the way that I view this life and this world. And I love the way I feel. I love the way I can take this source of information. Okay, this is why you are the way you are. And then I can integrate that into my life and I can start to try and understand better my relationships. How do I be a better friend? Because you don't trust love. So because you don't trust it, when somebody says, I love you, I don't hear it. I'm just like, But that's in friendships as well. And it probably wasn't until about 5 years ago where I really honed in on actively being a better friend and not just speaking to somebody when you needed something. Do you know what I mean? Because that's always been in survival mode. I feel like the way my old like psychotherapist would put it is that I spent my entire life in fight or flight, and I'm so used to being in survival mode. That's where I think I thrive, and that's where I believe that I am thriving the most. But it's not. It's actually just slowly killing you because you're constantly exposed to the cortisol of fight or flight that you now don't know how to relax. And in the past 5 years, bro, I'd say the biggest lesson I've taken is just to be able to sit the fuck still.
Yeah, how did you train yourself
to be okay to do nothing?
Yeah, what were you doing to train yourself to do that? Because I resonate. Like I've got a client who he's like a trader, and he's like high stake in trading. It's just like your nervous system just easy to get shot. Yeah. So he goes into these activated states, right?
Yeah.
So the whole process is like learning how to like blend the nervous system to like understand, right, I'm either in a shutdown state or like I'm in an activated state or a connected state. And like when you get activated, then actually tapping back into the connection, and like a blended state of activation and connection is actually like a great state to be in. It's more like excitement. And even like a blended state of shutdown, like if the nervous system goes into shutdown, but with connection, is like when you're laid on the sofa and you're like hugging your girlfriend, or laid on the just like chilling out with your mates, chatting or meditating. Like it's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
But like when you're just activated without connection, it's like it's like us talking now and I'm just like, yeah, so what's the next question, mate? Yeah. It's like there's no connection, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like horrible to be around.
There's no purpose to what you're doing.
So what did you learn about connecting more to your, like you said, you were in fight or flight for a long time?
All my life.
Yeah.
All my life. Like I found sitting still very easy, but then it's very easy to, but I came up in a time when ADHD wasn't ADHD. It was just bad parenting, or you're just a problem child. Do you know what I mean? And I still don't associate with ADHD. I don't call it something. I don't give it life. I don't give it breath. I don't need to do that. Like, but that does increase my awareness of any situation. It's like dating, for example. I'm hyper aware of something like dating, friendships, whatever. If you tell me a story and I find a 3-second gap in that story, my brain won't rest until I know why there's a 3-second gap. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of letting go of some of these things, letting go of some things that I was paying hyper focus to. Like, bro, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not a threat. You know, like it's not a threat. Like not everything is a threat. Try and relax into it. It doesn't matter there's a 3-second gap. It's fine. You know? Like, it doesn't matter there's a 3-second gap, but it's fine. And then just actually becoming, I don't know, bro. I think.
So let's talk about letting go. Yeah, because letting go of we were talking about before about like the impact that the Eastern philosophies and Ram Dass and Alan Watts and characters like that have had on your process and your life.
Significant.
And same here. Like I think their work is fascinating, and Eastern philosophies I find fascinating. And one of the core things is the ability to let go.
Yeah.
So
Letting go.
Yeah.
It's literally a title of one of the best lectures I've ever sat and listened to. Like letting go.
So how do you go about letting go for you internally of like any attachments that you've got, or like with the ADHD, right? Where it's like, oh, there's a gap in what they're saying. And the brain's like,
yeah,
that's so annoying, da, 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 and then it's like switches off. So how do you let go of those? How do you go about letting go of those patterns?
Learning, reading, listening, paying attention, being aware, being self-aware, and laughter, to be honest with you, mate. Sometimes I'll catch myself overthinking something and I'll just like laugh. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You know? And I end up laughing through it. But I think letting go became quite easy. Still not, I'm not a master, but by no means do I claim to be one. But I'm very good now at identifying the fact that control is an illusion, an absolute illusion. Me and you sat here right now, we're not important, mate. We're not. We like to think we are, and our ego tells us we are.
In our own little movie, we're important.
But dude, we have no more purpose on this planet than the bird that you see fly past the window or the dog that you see running through the road. Like, we're here to exist. We are merely here to exist. If we can best serve humanity while we're here and help other people understand their consciousness and help other people navigate their experience, because that's all it is. We're just an experience, a collective consciousness experiencing life in different skin sacks. Like, you know, we're just wearing these borrowed clothes while our energy portrays itself how it is. Do I believe that we have a purpose? It's a contradicting statement, this, because I believe that we do have a purpose, but it's not your choice. I don't believe your purpose is your choice. I feel like this is why a lot of people end up feeling very dissatisfied in their life. Letting go for me means not jumping in the river and trying to swim upstream, rather than, bro, I just throw the floaty in now. I just jump on, I lie on it. Even on the bad days, I don't fight the bad days. I let go. I succumb to the bad day. I'm like, cool, okay. Today's not a great head day. That's fine. Don't try and fight it because you're just gonna make it worse. You know, oh, today's an incredible day. Oh, nice, cool. You know, just allow it to come, allow it to flow. Like, allow life to happen. Like, stop trying to control every outcome. Like, it leads to nothing but anxiety, depression, stress. You are trying to control the uncontrollable variable. And I think you get to a point in your life where a series of these things happen and they unfold. And then you go, oh shit, I see why that happened. Ah, fuck, I remember that. Oh, okay, I get it, you know? Once they've happened enough times, you just start to actually relax and trust the process. So letting go of feelings, letting go of attachments. In fact, here's a good one for you. So they say that to be happy and to reach the state of a natman, which is to let go, that you first need to lose all of your desires. You need to get rid of all of your desires. All of your desires that you have in your mind, you need to clear your mind of the desires. But then you're left with a universal problem, which is now you are desiring to not desire. You know? So it's like, how far into this conscious thinking stream do you go to learn how to not desire, to then learn how to completely let go? There's only, and this is why I say I'm not a master. I'm still a student of life. I'm going to be a student of life until I die.
Yeah.
But there are just some fundamental things which I just find super, super interesting. And the more I implement them in my life, the better my life gets.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't even know if I answered the question, mate.
No,
my brain just does bits.
Yeah, that's cool.
I speak it.
I read a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And there's a part in the book where he tells a story about a guy who, when he was young, so there was two kids when they were young, and they went and played in the out in the forest, and they fell over, and then they had these they fell into like a stinging nettle bush, and they got a thorn, and the thorn got put in both in their arms, and then they went back home, and one of the parents like took the thorn out the arm, and it was fine, and the other parents didn't take the thorn out, they left it. And then as this kid grew old, the thorn was still in his arm, and he never took it out. And when he got older, he's like, my arm's so painful. Like, it's every time he would touch it would be painful. If anyone else touched it, it'd be painful. And obviously, the longer the thorn was in there, the worse it got. And then, like, as he got older, he then like thought, right, I need to figure out a way like to get around this. Like, my arm's so painful, and he wasn't able to touch people with it. So he got this machine built around the thorn, and he had to pull this machine round so that, you know, he could just like, he could still function. And it kind of took the pain away a bit, but there was still pain there. And he also had to carry around a whole machine, and like people weren't able to touch his arm. And then it wasn't until one day that someone went, hey mate, you know, you can just pull the thorn out. and then like he took the thorn out, and it was a bit painful when he pulled it out, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And like what I learned from that story, it's actually quite profound, because it's like, you know, we all have these thorns from when we're young.
Yeah.
And we can either walk around with them all our life, but at some point we can just let them go.
Yeah.
And I know it's like a bit painful when you let it go.
Can I just add to that though?
Yeah.
Do you not think
sure.
do you not think that some people in life, that thorn that's in there, they like the comfort and attention of other people asking if that thorn is okay? And can I make that thorn any more comfortable for you? And they get addicted to that, and that's victimhood. And they actually quite like the pain of the thorn because it brings sympathy from others. Do you understand?
I think so, yeah.
I've got nothing else going for me in life. I've refused to do anything with my existence. I'm merely just existing. So, actually, this person really likes me, and they're attending to my every movement and my need. And he wants to bring me something because I can't use this arm. And do you see what I mean? Like, metaphorically speaking, in the rest of existence.
For sure. Yeah, like Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, one of them being significance. Like, you can gain a ton of significance from your problems.
Yeah, bro,
you speak about it, and also connection from your problems as well. Because when you share a problem with someone else and they're like, I'm going through that as well, bang, connection.
Yeah.
Also, like, significance. My problem's worse than your problem.
Yeah.
You know, my story is worse than your story. Like, it's, you know, more gruesome or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like significant. So there's definitely major upsides to problems. That's why letting them go is sometimes not as beneficial as holding on to them.
Yeah. I suppose it's quite contradicting, because it's like, I feel like I've let go of the emotions around my mum's death. I don't feel no pain towards it. I still cry. And this is the important thing I try and push to clients and people that I work with, is that it's not about not feeling. Like, that's the wrong thing. It's about how do we utilize what we're feeling and put that into progression in life, rather than using it as a halting stop. But I can let go, but then I can't completely let go, because I talk about it daily, because that is my job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I cannot completely let go. I relate to the people that I work with because I have experienced that loss, and I then relive and re-talk about that loss. But I don't live it with pain. I don't talk about it with pain. I can sit here with you now and have a full conversation about the complete deterioration of my mum. I've got a picture on my mum, which I keep to myself. I don't post it publicly, but just after she died, I took a picture of my mum. So if I ever need to remember that she's not here, I look at a picture of my mum dead. You know, that sounds really morbid, but it's real fucking life. Like, we have this protection bubble around us that we've been taught from young ages in schools, and our conditioning from our parents. And it's like, look, death isn't something to be mourned all the time. Like, this can be celebrated as well, if we recognize what is actually happening. And different people have different opinions on that. Different religions look at it from different ways. I have my own, and that's what works best for me. But that picture always brings me back to letting go. Like, it always allows me to look at the picture, I smile, I say I love you, and then I can close my phone and I can let go of that emotion, because nothing that my brain does right now is going to bring that person back to life. It's not going to work. Like, that's not going to happen. But using the power of, I'm an extremist. Like, the first time I went doing cold water therapy, and this guy stood next to me and he's like, bro, you need to get under the lake. And I was like, bro, you can go fuck yourself. I ain't getting under that lake. It's like, you need to get down to your shoulders. And it's like 1 degree snowing up a freaking hill in the middle of Yorkshire. And I'm like, I'm not getting under there. I was already up to my hips. I'd never done an ice bath or anything. This was like first exposure. And mum hadn't passed yet. And I got into my hips and he was like, bro, you need to get down to the back of your neck. And I just remember staring at this pile of rocks on the other side of the reservoir. And I could just see it. It's where somebody had like knocked the wall, you know, the dry stone walls. And there was just a pile. And I just remember staring at it vividly. And I just said to myself, like, if this would save your mum's life, would you go under the water? Of course you would. You wouldn't think twice. Bam, under the water. Pain to power, you know? That was the moment it clicked for me. That was the moment I was like, oh shit, there's something in this. You know, like I can actually use this to rewire my brain to force myself to become uncomfortable, to force myself into situations that I never usually would have had the to do it, you know? I feel like a lot of successful people, a lot of great people, a lot of people's stories with any depth come from a place of pain. And they do something with it. So I think completely letting go isn't an option. I can let go of the emotions, but I can't let go of the story.
Yeah, I think that in itself is radical acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
when there's a story that held so much power and like the letting go process, like actually just being like not being able to go there is avoidance, right?
Yes.
Avoidance in itself. Whereas actually being willing to look at a picture and accept on a deep level, like accept like this is the reality and still be able to speak about it in itself is like radical acceptance, which is so important, man.
I think that is a power all by itself because it's super difficult to do, bro. 3 months after, I think it took me maybe 3 to 4 months until I could even imagine her. I couldn't picture her, bro. I couldn't look at pictures. I could look at pictures, but it was an instant set off.
What would come up for you then?
When I looked at pictures, again, it's just the acceptance. It's just the fact, like, fuck, I want to speak to you. Like, do you know what I mean? I want to ring you. Like, I want to. Like, you were a real person. It's like everything's it's all over the place. Your brain's all over the place. Your past is no longer true. Your present's no longer true. Your future's no longer true because all of these three things contained that person, and that person's not here anymore. Therefore, your illusion of these three time frames disintegrates, and you have to learn to rebuild them. You know, you have to learn to rebuild your memories because this powerful time here can cloud the memories of what was, and your present is no longer true because your present usually contains access to this person, and now your future is no longer true because no matter on what scale that person had in your future, they're not here anymore. So you have to it's why people struggle with divorce and relationships, past, present, and future. It alters all of them. Like if you've been in a relationship for 10 years and that relationship then breaks down, it's like, oh, well, you feel like the last 10 years has been a lie. Now your present doesn't contain that person anymore. So you don't know what to do with yourself because your day usually revolves around them. And then your future is no longer true because all the things, ideas, and plans that you had for you and your partner no longer exist. So you're just in this state of limbo where past, present, and future are all this big blended fucking ball of mess. And you need to then make sense of it and rebirth yourself out of this mess. Good luck, have a great time. And that's the way the world looks at it because nobody cares. And it's like, I care about people and I care about their problems, but, and I will do everything in my power to help somebody that, to the best of my ability. But at a certain point, if you're not helping yourself, then nobody cares. Do you know what I mean? Like you're only going to be able to fix yourself. I can guide people. That's why therapy was never a good thing for me personally, because it just kept me in the past. Like that's why I put my passions into coaching. Coaching is about the future. It's about where are you now? How can we turn them pain points into the future? I've probably just gone on a mad tangent again, mate. Like I don't remember the question.
Oh, we were kind of just riffing, man. This is fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I agree, like having a vision of the future is so important. Like a vision of the future that's electrifying, makes you want to get up in the morning, that feels meaningful and purposeful. And the mad thing about the future and the vision we create of it is it's made up. Like literally in our mind, we're able to be like, you know, I can close my eyes and be like, oh, what life do I want to live? Obviously the program's just running on autopilot anyway, but we have that power to be able to create a future in our mind, like a mind movie. And then we can visualize that and experience it as if it's already happening now and all that stuff.
I don't have that ability.
You don't? No?
No.
How do you, so you said that with clients, it's all about creating a,
I can see other people's. I still need to explore this for myself.
We can explore it now.
Do you know what I mean? I still need to be able to explore it for myself before I can put it into, but I don't have a set future in my head. Like my life has been so fast and interchanging all the time, different layers coming in, different expectations, either not being met, over met. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like when we talked about letting go a minute ago, to me, that is letting go. I have succumbed to whatever path my path is. I'm just ready to live it. You know, I'm accepting of whatever is put in front of me and wherever that path leads me. Like when people are like, oh, what's your 12-year plan? I'm like, I might be dead in 6. Like, I don't know that information. And I could put so many things out here. I still have goals, but there's just no movie. There's no fairy tale running around in here where I see this or this, and this. It's just like, I have a few sets of morals and values that I want to abide by and try and do your best to just not be a dick and try and make the people who you come into contact with lives happier and better than when you found them. And apart from that, mate, like it's like I can say I want children, but if I really dive into the question, do I want children? Or is that just something I told myself 10 years ago because I wanted to prove my dad that I would be a better father? Like, do I want children or am I trying to prove it? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of different fucking things that go on with these questions that you actually ask yourself. Is that societal conditioning? Like, is it conditioned in me, these things?
Do you want kids?
I think I want kids, bro, yeah. But again, like I've seriously got to resit with the question.
Yeah.
Because now I've got to look at what life I'm bringing them into. I want kids for fuck yeah, man. Like I want to be a dad. I think I'll be an incredible dad. Like I genuinely believe with all of my heart, I'd be the best dad in the world.
Well, bro, you just lit up like a Christmas tree when I said that.
Yeah, but like, I would, bro.
Kids.
You know, like, I would. I really do. I really would like it. But I've been in relationships and I've been through miscarriages. When I was 19 years old, I had a girl who I stuck with her for the whole 9 months of the pregnancy, and then she gave birth, and then 2 months after he was born, my dad, who I was trying to have a relationship with at the time, he was like, I'm never going to accept him as my grandson until you get a DNA test. And I was like, oh. So I ended up getting a DNA test, bro. And I got a phone call when I was working at BMW in Stockport. And I'll never forget it, bro. And it's like, we've got the results back from your DNA test and you are not the father. And I was just like in a bush, bro. Like I literally just crawled in a bush. And again, the thingy from my dad was, I told you. I'm like, there was no love there, bro. There was no like, he had a pretty shit upbringing. He had a pretty shit traumatic childhood. Do you know what I mean? And for that, like, I'm sorry you experienced that, but you're putting that onto me now, you know? Yeah. So again, that was difficult. And then 2030, when I was 30, girl called Katie, we were just like casually dating, but she was great. Really, really lovely girl. Really genuine soul. And she ended up getting pregnant and she rang me to tell me. And I was like, hey, here's an idea. We were just seeing each other obviously casually, but how do you feel about co-parenting? How do you feel about having this child and co-parenting? And we met up and we sat, we had coffee, like we met up multiple times to discuss this and we agreed to do it. And then I was at work, I was cutting hair and I got a phone call and I knew before I answered the phone. I have an intuition with this thing, like my mum ringing me to tell me she had 12 to 18 months. I knew before I answered the phone. I knew what was coming. I knew it was bad, which is quite nice because I can prepare. So I was able to prepare before I clicked answer. And I would never usually answer my phone at work either, especially not halfway through a haircut. And I was like, oh, I need to take this because it was Katie ringing. And she was crying. I was like, what's up? She's like, oh, I'm just in Hull. I'm just in town. She'd gone to buy some new bras because obviously everything grows when you're pregnant and they weren't fitting her. So she'd been in to buy some new tops and she was just like, I'm bleeding and I need to go to, so she had to go to the clinic and yeah, she'd had a miscarriage while she was out in town. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Including the thing when I was 19, that'll be the 7th time I have had the feeling of I'm gonna be a dad, and then it not happening. You know? So you learn to not get excited about stuff, and you end up your wiring changes towards these things because you're like, okay, yeah, I want that, but like, is that for me? Because these things keep proving it's not. You know? So yeah, that's why I say I need to resit with it, bro. I do need to resit with it. I have always said, bro, because I'm not terrible at relationships. Like, I think if any of my exes actually sat and looked at our relationship, they wouldn't necessarily say anything too bad against me. I've never treated anybody bad, bro. It's like when I did the TV show, did Married at First Sight. I came off and I had this girl off the show trying to say that I'm this and say that I'm that. And I'm like, okay, but where are my ex-girlfriends coming to the forefront of this party? Because surely if I had been such a terrible human to any of my exes, they'd be all lined up right now trying to shoot me on the firing range. You know what I mean? That didn't happen. You've just not got laid, and people on TV had seen that, and you feel bad, so now you're trying to put that onto me. Like, you do you, but I'm not about that. Like, I don't want to get involved in that. Yeah, something I need to sit with, bro. Something I need to sit with.
Well, mate, that's a, yeah, I can only imagine, you know, like 6, 7 times where you thought you were going to be a dad. And obviously from your expression that you gave, like, it's something that you are excited about, like from what I just witnessed there when I asked the question. But I can imagine, yeah, there's like an acceptance piece of the past, which is why it's interesting. Like with coaching, right? It's like a interesting field because there's this element of, I see it as like 3 parts. You've got like the future of like having a vision or something that you're working towards that adds greater meaning. You know, I think that's an important part. And then there's also like being at peace with the present, actually being able to sit with someone and be present in the moment. And then also the third part of actually the past, like integrating like the things that maybe we've just brushed under the carpet, that actually like integrating that so there's an acceptance piece. You know, like I had to do that with my past relationships. Actually, like having that sense of acceptance did an exercise, like a blame exercise, where Tony Robbins actually writes his event, Date with Destiny. He speaks about it. He's like, we all blame, but normally we blame as like blaming the other one of like what they did wrong, why they're bad, da 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 da. But like to actually have radical acceptance so we can move forward, it's actually having the acceptance of blaming them effectively, also blaming them for, you know, all the blessings that they brought into the life, all the lessons, all the gifts, all of the wisdom, all the magic moments. And then that's when we stop viewing something in taint and light. Because there's 2 sides of it, right? There's like when we're viewing it as something in a light of darkness, which could be something from the past, like not fully accepting it because we're just seeing all of the bad. And then there's also like when we're tainted glasses and then like we're just seeing all the good and actually like not the bad. There's equal and opposite for everything, right? But I feel like to move forward, acceptance of the past, and then we can be like, actually, what do I truly want? Like, what does my heart truly want? What do I really want to create? And like flipping back to the question before, where we said about, no, you not the question.
I've got no idea what the question was, bro.
Yeah.
I've got no idea what the question was.
You shared about being having an experience. Like we're here to experience. Yeah. And to experience, like having that vision of something that we're moving towards, that our soul is like, this is expansive. Like I'm experiencing, I'm like actually having something that I'm moving towards and creating. I think is part of the reason also why we're here. Like we're this consciousness who are in this bodysuit. But it's like, well, while we're here, we may just as well experience some stuff, you know? There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. But like we're experiences, right?
I think that like maybe I misworded what I'm trying to say with that. Like I don't believe that, don't get me wrong, I've got ambitions and goals. I just don't have I don't have a picture movie. I don't have a picture perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've still got my ambition. I've still got my goals that I want to achieve. I've still got
Yeah, I
a
see
level
that,
of
bro. Like
a
you're
level of
moving.
consciousness that I want. I've still got like I'm fucking so thirsty for knowledge. I'm so thirsty for knowledge, and it's like we've spoke previously about Alan Watts, bro. When I read his literature, my brain cannot take a breath. Like I am so fucking mentally stimulated by the words and how he articulates his language and how, do you know what I mean? Like words are so powerful, mate. Yet they are a construct that we did to identify things. So it's like most of the things are actually felt and not. There's so many holes that we can fall down. So yeah, I still have the goals. Like I still have them. They're more feelings than they are visions.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
more of a, I want to make somebody feel like this, and I want to feel like that. And this is a state of consciousness I want to achieve. This is a state of wisdom I want to achieve. This is a state of peace that I want to achieve. They don't come with price tags. They don't look like G-Wagons or Lamborghinis. They don't look like watches or clothes. They don't have a materialistic value to it. Like it's more of a, like, do I want a family? Yes. But that family needs to be content in a tent or a mansion. Like the materialistic pressure to put it into a certain category. It's like you can only have this if you earn this, you know? Like my business just took a huge turn for the best, and it's life-changing and gives me the ability to also change other people's lives. It's a two-way street, and that's how it should be. A complete two-way street. If it's one way, it's not going to work. But that doesn't mean that I want to increase my means. Like I don't want to now just go move house into some big posh fancy. No, like this is what got you where you're going. I want to stay in my little room for a little while and build. Like don't just go. Don't cash in on yourself too quickly. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I try and honor where I'm at, honor what I've done, honor what's brought me to where I currently am, and keep doing those things. But I feel like a lot of people I've been exposed to, they come with a materialistic pressure. You know, I need those trainers. Why do you need those trainers? Oh, because that's what everyone's wearing. Where? On Instagram. We shouldn't be able to see. It's a useful tool, but we shouldn't be able to see what fucking Darren in Australia is wearing to the gym. You know what I mean? Like, don't make you run faster. You need to go do the. Anyway, another hole.
Yeah, so I'm curious, man. Imagine you were to be gifted like £1 million, like right now. What would you spend it on?
I think it's a very difficult question to answer. First thing that I would probably do is make sure that anything that I could make sure I was financially secure for a set period of time. So I'd probably put it into quarters off the top of the dome. I'd probably segregate it into quarters. The first quarter would be for me because take care of yourself. You can better serve other people. Like it's not selfish to look after yourself.
Yeah. What, in like health, or what would you?
Just some kind of financial security.
Right.
As in like
investments.
It could be investment. It could be, I don't know what I would need when it landed. Yeah. So I would just make sure that there was some kind of financial security out. A quarter of it, another quarter of it would 100% go to animals, bro. Like,
you love dogs,
fucking %,
well,
mate.
right?
Like, I would have a dog sanctuary open tomorrow, right? And I'd love a dog sanctuary that didn't require donations. You know, like I would love that. I would genuinely take so much happiness in having that. And then I don't know, bro. I really don't know. It's a difficult question. It is a difficult question because I think that we all have off the top of the dome answers that we could say, but what you would actually do are very different things. This is the trick with imagination, you know? Like how you imagining yourself to respond in a certain situation probably isn't how you're gonna. Which is where anxiety comes from. You start panicking about the future. What happens when the future arrives? It was never actually as bad as what you imagined. But sometimes when we over imagine the good things, we get there and they're never as good. But actually, we're the problem for having the expectation on the event in the first place. Whereas if you're just like, okay, cool. My answer to that question is I'd deal with it when it got there.
Yeah, fair.
Everything else is a lie.
Yeah, there was some cool pieces as well. Though. Like you'd invest some.
I'd invest some and save some dogs.
You'd build a dog house. I mean, that's a fair start. Man.
Yeah, that's a good start. The other 500, I don't know. I started off in my head and I was like, I'm going to segregate it into quarters. And then I got to the dogs and I was like, what am I going to do with the other two?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll deal with it when it comes.
Yeah, we'll deal with it when it comes. I don't actually know.
Yeah, man.
I don't actually know.
The reason why I asked that question is because we were sharing before about like materialism.
Yeah.
And I think that question opens up the doorway to someone's mind of what they actually value. So it's interesting that you shared about you set up a dog, non-profit, you wouldn't take the donations. Because it's just interesting, like where someone's mind goes, because there's so many things you can do with £1 million, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just it helps someone see underneath the surface what they value.
Dogs,
yeah, dogs, animals.
Bro, it pisses me off how much I love dogs. The amount of times somebody said to me in the gym, they were like, you've never met my missus, but you say hello to my dog every day. My missus literally said to me, oh, the guy with the face tattoos? Like, he's never once said hello to me, but he always hangs off his moped and says hello to the dog. And I'm like, bro, I didn't even know it was a woman walking the dog. Like, it's just this real cute golden retriever, bro, that I say hello to in the morning. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know, mate, I have like a place I just moved to who's got this proper angry boss dog and he runs the pack. There's about 12 dogs and he runs them all, mate. One of them steps out of line. He's like, he's fucking on it. He's so switched on. He never switches off. And when I first got to this place, he's looking at me like food. He's just like growling at me, won't let me come near him. And I looked him dead in the eye and I was like, I give you 7 days until you're upside down on my bed having your belly rubbed, kid. Do you know what I mean? Took me 4. Took me 4 and he's soft as shit, mate. He's a fucking liar. Like, he's like boss dog out there with the dogs, mate. But I shut curtains and he's like, you know what I mean? He's like, he fucking loves it.
He wears his mask on the streets. He's like, oh, look at me.
He's full of scars and everything, mate. Like, he's fucking lived a life, And I think that's the fucking cool thing about dogs, bro. If you can spend enough time looking in their eyes and feeling their energy and being around them, it's just like, you can learn a lot about yourself from animals. I feel like you really, really can. My border collie, Arlo, like I literally said, like he taught me what commitment to a goal is. Because if I threw his frisbee at a brick wall, bro, he will hit that brick wall 1,000 times until he learns how to run the fuck up the wall, jump off it before the frisbee gets there and catch it. You know what I mean? He doesn't just, it keeps hitting the wall, so I'm going to stop chasing it. That's not what he does. He'll fucking headbutt that wall and collide with that wall until he learns a way to scale the wall to catch the fucking toy. You don't just give up and think, it hits a wall every time. Why am I chasing that? It's like, no, he's got his eyes on something, mate. He's got his eyes on something and he ain't going to let off until he figures out a way to catch it. And I took a big lesson from my dog with that, Taught me what real love is. Unconditional love. Love without boundaries. Love without rules and regulations. I'll love you as long as you provide. I'll love you as long as you don't. I'll love you as long... Oh, okay, cool. That's not love. It's got fuck all to do with love. That's you placing expectations on another human because they make you feel a certain way and then you come together. But, okay, do you still love me if I go and do this? Oh, well, no. Oh, so your love has conditions and boundaries. It's not fucking love. Like, it's not love. Whereas with your dog, bro, the only time they'll ever hurt you is when they die. That's unconditional. I could literally walk out of my house. Well, do I want to... Fuck it. Like, I could walk out of my... Just as an example, right? I could literally walk out of my house and blow up a supermarket. You know what I mean? Like, I could do something really, really terrible. And I go home and my dog will still love me. They don't go, well, you did something which maybe I don't love you. And dog don't give a fuck, mate. Dog is unconditional bonding, Like, and I suppose that works vice versa. It's like people who have difficult dogs or aggressive dogs. If they're good people, they don't just, if they've bonded with that dog, they don't just give the dog up. They change the park they walk in. They change the routine. Like having a rescue dog can be a very isolating thing. You can rescue a dog and think, my life's going to be great and really social now because I've got a dog. In actual fact, you find yourself walking at 5 a.m. around a reservoir because your dog's not good with other dogs or other people. but it still needs a walk and it still needs freedom. And it takes you down a completely different path than what you were hoping for it to take you down.
Yeah, bro. That's the unconditional love piece from a dog is very interesting. So because it's actually a great learn. It's a great piece of wisdom where they're just unconditional, loving,
literally.
beautiful, incredible, like connecting beings, right?
Yeah.
And they just love you no matter what. And there's a book over there, How to Win Friends, Influence People, where he talks about the dogs.
Never read it.
He talks about dogs in there. How like the reason why, how is it the dogs don't speak?
Is it Dale Carnegie?
Yeah. Dale Carnegie. Yeah, so how is it the dog, it doesn't speak? Yeah, like they're so good at building friendships.
Yeah.
Because they just wag their tail and they're excited. They're like, yeah.
Energy, bro.
Yeah.
Energy.
But the unconditional love piece is an interesting one. I'm glad you touched on that. Because I'm curious, like where can we as humans with our minds, which it's so easy to be like, oh, I love you when, how can we start to integrate more of that unconditional love in the parts of ourselves and the part of our lives that we haven't yet shown love to, whether that be ourselves or to others, people that have hurt us, like that dog who's just like, I love you anyway.
Yeah. I think that the people, I don't know, it's like when they say that everybody's worthy of love. I could sit with that for hours because I'm like, are they? Are they? Or do we say that to make life seem a bit easier?
What do you think?
Again, I could sit with it for hours. I could give you a pros and cons list. Like I could give you, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer to it. I think when we go down, it's like, I'm not religious, but let's touch on, for example, Christianity with heaven and hell. You have heaven, you have hell. This is for the bad deeds, sinners, awful people. This is for, so as far back as we can date with literature, there has been a good and a bad. These people are not worthy of love. These people are worthy of love. So to say that everybody and everything deserves love, or your love specifically. Okay, I think everybody is deserving of love. Everybody should be loved. Everybody should feel love. I think everybody deserves that, but it doesn't have to be your love. You don't need to necessarily love everything and love everyone, because I feel like you are. I think you can overexpend your energy. We talk about life force. We talk about like what we've got to give, and where it comes from. Is it direct from source, whatever you want to call source? Like, are these coming to you? Like, are you remote? Like, where does a thought come from? For fuck's sake, you don't know. You say my brain, and it's like, but how did it get in your brain? And it's like, you say my brain. Okay, who is this my that you're referring to? None of it makes sense, mate. Like none of it actually makes any fucking sense. And we always try and describe everything with words. Like even the word love, it's 4 letters which have been pieced together by man to describe an emotion. But then if you go into Chinese literature, like most of their characters, they are an explanation of emotion. They're not actually a word. They're not, do you know what I mean? Some of the translations from Sanskrit, for example, that you try and convert into English, you can't. It's just a very loose translation. The word can mean multiple things. Even in Balinese, you say Sayanku. That can mean so many different things, but it's meant to be a good thing. But it's just a one word to describe what we have about 7 for. Language, I think language fucks with a lot of things. Sometimes it's, if you can get 2 people, okay, I dated a French Nigerian girl once. She didn't speak a single word of English, mate. We met out in Croatia and she didn't speak a single word of English, but bro, that connection with her was so powerful. It was so intense, but we couldn't even communicate. We had no signal and we didn't have no words, Google Translate. We couldn't communicate with words. And even through not talking, we developed such a very powerful connection, and it was fucking wonderful. We didn't have to talk about it, bro. We didn't have to sit there chatting about it and trying to break it down into its core elements. And there's just sometimes I think that we do too much talking and too much thinking. And I think that's the thing with love, is it can be over-explained, underutilized, we can spend so much time talking about it that we forget to actually check in and see if we feel it. Like, we can recite all of these things from the books that we've read, and we can recite all of these things from the podcasts that we read. And it's like, okay, but are you feeling it? Are you integrating it? Are these things that you're actually doing in your daily life, or are you just talking to me about them? You know? And
And that's where embodiment comes in, right? So you can learn something, but do you actually embody it?
yeah, do you stand for it?
Yeah, like
Or does it just sound good?
yeah, like is also I feel like with love, it's like, is your heart actually online?
Yeah.
Like when you're talking to someone, are you also talking but connected to your heart at the same time while you're talking?
Yeah.
So it's coming from your truth rather than just regurgitate. Like anyone can sit and learn. That's what we're taught to do in school for years. Like,
Yeah.
all right, read this. All right, read it. All right, learn it, and then do an exam and tick. But like all of that is not online, right? So like tapping back into our truth, our wisdom, which kind of circles back to the beginning. Because we were talking about so much information, but actually I think it's a powerful thing, like for people listening, tuning back into your own truth, whatever that is.
I think people need gentle guidance in order to be able to see the world through their eyes and not through what they've learned. You know what I mean? I think that ultimately that's what it comes down to. In my opinion, it's people need a little bit of guidance to just be guided to who they are. It's really difficult to make somebody wear the glasses, but once they wear them, there's no taking them off, you know? I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about non-player characters like NPCs and how, do you know what I mean? Like how everything in life is like you are the main character in your life and everybody else is an NPC. Like the guy at the newsagents needs to be there every day, but in your mind, he just lives there. He's just there. If he weren't there one day, you'd be like, where's he gone? You know, like and I like the analogy. I think it's a very powerful analogy if you actually sit and think about these things. But see, now my mind's going to selfish and selfless love, the different types of love, and the different. So I mean, mate, it's such a broad thing that I'd have to spend to discuss it properly with somebody. I'd have to go back and forth with them for hours. You know, which I don't think a lot of people are capable of doing. People get brain ache halfway through. Or there's got to be a time frame on this because we've got to be somewhere because we live off the social construct of time. And yeah, it's a lot, bro. it's a lot. It is a lot.
Man. All right then. So we'll spin it back just to close out before we do the vault and we'll do the message. But yeah, just spinning it back, kind of doing full circle with because it is like the big thing that you're working with people with. So it's good to add value to people's life around like the grief and then also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the addiction piece as well, right? Yeah. So just to come full circle, like can you just explain from an addiction standpoint, like what you went through, and then also like what process you share with others to help them, overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, like disclaimer wise, it's not necessarily helping people to overcome addiction. It's to rebuild life after addiction. So addiction can leave a void. It can leave an empty feeling of, okay, this is how I would usually get my serotonin, my dopamine. It's how I would usually self-regulate my emotions. And it's about rebuilding something new out of that. It's not necessarily going through it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it just needs to be highlighted on what I do, because a lot of people can go, what's your qualification? Life is my qualification. Okay. I'm not a psychologist sat in a bloody office wearing a suit and tie with a piece of paper on the wall. Because if you actually look at a psychologist, most of them had pretty good childhoods. Most blanket statement. Okay. If you have had a comfortable enough life and a comfortable enough household, which you have been raised in, which has then financially enabled you to go to university, to enable you to study for such a prolonged period of time, to then enable you to go on and do a master's. Like, what have you actually experienced about what you're talking about? You know, that, again, my view. my personal view. I've got a lot of respect for psychologists. I'm not saying that that's a one size fits all, but for me personally, it's like I want to talk to somebody who's lived it. Like if you've been through what I've been through and you've come out the other side, I'm like, hey, bro, you're a light to me. Like I want to. So with the addiction side, circle back right to the addiction side of things. For me personally, mate, I've had various addictions all of my life. Like I've got a very addictive personality, and my addiction to ultimately serotonin and dopamine in different forms have always been very extreme. And it's been anything from cocaine, alcohol, it's been MDMA on a weekend, it's been the daily use of diazepam. It's been, do you know what I mean? There's been so many substance, but that's substance addiction. But then we can talk about addiction, being addicted to validation, like sex addiction, like which you don't as a male really realize what's going on because you just think that you're out there sleeping with people and you just think that no, you're actually giving a lot of your energy and your life force away to random people. And why? And it's like, oh, you're validating your existence, or you feel a need to validate your attraction, or you need to, and that can become an addictive thing. You can become addicted to validation. There's a lot of different things. I'm working with a client right now. Obviously, I won't say any names, but like the situation that we're processing is addiction to love from a toxic person. It is like breaking a cycle of a lifetime on what's currently occurring. And it's not about substance. It's not all about substance. But for me to overcome and work through these things, you have to break it down. You have to really understand what you're addicted to. And it's like, is it the substance? Is it the love? Is it the sex? Is it these things? Or is it the feeling that these things are given? And then you need to break that emotion down and then go, okay, well, why am I feeling like this? Why do I need to fill that void with this? Some addictions can be really healthy. Okay, let's switch this. Have you noticed like a lot of ex-drug addicts become really into fitness? Because, okay, cool. Now you've got a bit of a healthy addiction because this is actually doing you some justice. You're just replacing one with the other. There's different ways that different people deal with it, mate. And it can never be a one size fits all.
Yeah, so yours is mostly helping someone navigate and create a meaningful life, right?
Which is different for everybody.
Yeah. So you help them, like, how do you help them come up with what a meaningful life is for them?
I need to understand the person.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I need to understand maybe a little bit. We go 25% into the past, 75% into the future. And that's how I like to try and keep it as a blanket. If we need to go deeper into the past to better understand the present, okay, cool. But first and foremost is trying to guide, sometimes gently, sometimes not gently, but guiding people to, I ask the relevant questions so that they can answer their own question. They already have the answer. And it goes back to what you said earlier about being in tune with your heart, being in tune with yourself, being in tune with your intuition. It's a gentle guide into putting you into that mind frame. I had a client text me yesterday or the day before saying, since our conversation, I cannot stop. My brain is just like in this whole life and death thing. And I think I really need to explore the whole principles of life. And I'm like, like before this conversation, everything was doom and gloom. And now it's like you've had a really good weekend and you're now processing thoughts differently. The way you're looking at the world is different. And I think everybody with a subtle shift in perspective on life can accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, so I think that meaningful.
I think I answered that question.
Yeah, you had it. Yeah, what is a meaningful life? Essentially, like, yeah,
different for everybody.
Tuning into someone's heart and what is that, and then coming up with that creation process of creating a vision of what they want, what's actually important, understanding these principles of life and death, which I think is so essential, and it is because else we're just hiding away from truth. Right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Just sat on that little comfort blanket. It's like, nope, we're all gonna die. And everyone thinks you're super morbid for saying that. Like, we're all gonna die. It's like, it's just a fact. I don't care whether you want to think about it or accept it. You kind of need to, because it's happening. It's not negotiable. We don't get to bargain with it. I'm never getting that breath back. I can't go back and grab that again. Like, we're only going in one direction. And I think the sooner that we come to terms with that, the more peaceful life can actually be, because you just have to accept it and let it happen.
Yeah, nice. So just sending out one piece of advice for the person who is maybe going through some stuff at the minute, grief, a loss, yet they're suffering in silence, what would you say to that person?
Feel everything. Nothing that you're currently feeling is abnormal, and your feelings are valid. Try not to self-sabotage. If you're going through grief, try not to drink. It's just going to make it worse. Try and stay away from substances. Try and stay away from escapism as best as you can, which can be really difficult because everything's all a bit of a mess right now for you. Nothing really makes sense. But people say it doesn't get any easier, you know. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. And it will get easier if you want it to. And if you actively take steps towards it becoming easier. But in the initial beginning, don't let anybody tell you how to feel. Just feel. Make sure you're feeling and not avoiding. And that's going to be the best way that you can get through the other side of it, is to allow yourself to feel the emotions that your body is trying to feel. But try not to get stuck there with them for too long.
That's beautiful, man. And so important. Yeah, rather than like resisting and pushing away, actually embracing what's going on. But
super important.
Also having that connection and people around you, which you mentioned earlier as well, which is so important, right? People to talk to.
Yeah.
People to and I know this may sound a bit contradictory, but like while you're in those depths of feeling, also having outlets of things to do that also you can sort of let your hair down and have a bit of, let's say, fun or like the connection with other people. I think is important as well, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it's really difficult, and I have to watch my words a little bit, mate, because I could be, if 1,000 people watch the episode, 99 of them might not relate, one of them might, but you can't blanket statement grief. Like, this is why I say that I can't give you a phase program on what to do because I don't know your situation. Every single person that I work with is unique, and it's a unique situation. We might have both lost our mum, but you might have lost your mum in a car crash with no warning. I lost mine with 12 to 18 months grieving process. They're very fucking different, bro, and they're going to hit you very, very differently. There's going to be a lot of unresolved over here. At least over here, there was a bit of resolve. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make one worse than the other. It doesn't make the pain any different, but they just need navigating differently. There's different answers, there's different options, there's different tools, there's different roads, you know? So yeah, they can be wildly different from person to person. But just take care of yourself and go to the fucking gym. Like, whoever you are, go to the gym or go for a run. Make sure that you're staying on top of you. Take care of yourself. Don't let yourself go. Don't allow that to happen, because it just makes it worse. Stay on top of your game. Stay on top of your fitness. Stay on top of your food. Stay on top of, and if you haven't, start.
Legend. Well, mate, thanks for opening up and sharing about all that stuff, because it's deep work, right?
So, very deep, bro. Yeah.
Mate, I appreciate you, man. All right. Well, to close out, we'll do, as the sort of tradition on here, we have the vault. So in the vault, there's 10 mystery messages, and then each guest leaves a message, and then it goes into the vault. And then like each guest gets to choose a message, sits with it, chats about it for a little bit, see if it resonates, sparks something inside, and then leave your message, and that goes into the vault for the future. So are you ready to pick your message, bro?
Oh my God. Okay. You are a miracle with God energy within. You are capable of anything, and I encourage you seek and then become the most incredible version of yourself. Rise and shine. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah, because it's Anthony. Yeah,
because it's Anthony. Yeah. Second I saw Rise and Shine, Anthony, I was like, I already know where this is going.
yeah. Good, big energy, man. Anthony's got big energy.
Yeah, he has, man. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah,
he is a really, really nice person.
Yeah. Resonate?
Yeah, I can struggle with stuff like this, bro, because I don't know. Like,
well, even that first bit, mate, you are a miracle. Like that's an empowering thing to even. Well, we are miracles.
yeah, I know.
The fact that we're here
it
is a gift. You know, we're sat here in these little bodysuits and experiencing day by day. It's a miracle in itself.
I think what it is, bro, is that I could put my hand into there and pull anything out, and I'll find a way to resonate with it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've not known you that long, but I could never imagine from the energy I get from you to keep bad company or uninspiring company. So I already have a prerequisite in my head that when I go into there, I don't know who's been sat here with you, but I can't imagine them to be not something that I would resonate with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Making sense. It's making sense to me, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, so yeah, I can resonate with Ant's message in a sense of what I took from that is find out you owe it to yourself to find out how truly powerful you are and your purpose on this earth.
Boom.
In my own words, in my own interpretation of what that message said.
Boom. Mate, I love that, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you, brother. Let's go.